Now we turn to a story at the nexus of politics and communication. A story about blogging. Now you may think it's 2021. Why is blogging in the news at all? It's a type of communication that goes back a ways.
Internet bloggers, those are the amateur pundits who record their opinions and argue and debate on their own websites.
One of thousands of electronic town squares where everyone is welcome to grab a soapbox and scream their versions of the truth.
Generation C. The C is for content.
Generation C uses the internet to show off.
The average blog isn't that widely read.
You can just put up a blog and people will come.
Blogs had a major impact on media and politics. They were over time supplanted as media websites adopted some of their format, and social media became a faster and easier way for many different people to share thoughts or pictures or maybe go viral. Donald Trump tried blogging as far back as 2006 with entries supposedly by him about gas prices or his claim that how you treat waiters reveals your character as a person. That project was not all that editorially focused. It was part of the promotion for the now bankrupt Trump University. Now, Trump found far more reach on social media, riding Twitter and other apps into the news cycle, until he and his allies fomented a rally that turned into a violent insurrection, which literally broke the typically loose standards for what kind of speech is allowed and what kind of violent speech gets people kicked off these very platforms. Twitter banned him for life. Facebook still has Trump on pause. So then the ex-president claimed he'd start his own social media company in response this year. He never did. Then, still on ice with Twitter, he launched a new blog in 2021, and we have an update tonight. It's not going well. The announcement already had some people mocking the former president. A viewer even posting this idea for a nickname on one of our beat accounts, Ed, suggesting they nickname it Mar-a-Blago. Fair. As for the facts, reporters checked, and it turns out now hardly anyone is reading the blog. It crashed over this past weekend, a kind of a tech failure. It also, at a bottom line level, draws a tiny fraction of the millions of engagements Trump got previously on social media, about 16,000 nationwide. And many of Trump's own fans now say they either visit the site not much or not at all. So Trump is writing and performing online for a much smaller audience these days. And it's not clear if this Florida blogger can build his audience with his current output. He recently posted typical entries that maligned the winner of the Kentucky Derby as a junkie and had a post implying Mother's Day is now in danger as a national holiday, but it will come back stronger, do not worry. Very hot stuff. So what does this all reveal about the blogger in Florida? Well, the implications actually go beyond him or whether you were rooting for or against the blog. You take it in here, and there was always sort of a chicken and egg question about whether Trump's controversial, trolling, outrage style of modern political communication was generally effective in terms of getting attention and defining political news cycles, and if so, could it become a template for everybody, or whether it worked more narrowly through a kind of toxic mix of unregulated social media and a press that often echoed and reacted to so many of his online claims in real time. Well, here we are. And this is by no means a final or precise experiment, but the complete, obvious public failure of this brand new announced blog, even failing with Trump's superfans, suggests it's more the latter. Social media companies make money when people react and engage, regardless of the substance or the ethics. The reward has basically a reward structure built into the way the sites and the apps work and their algorithms. And questionable content that gets a reaction, any reaction does better. A politician or a troll or anyone else who lives mostly off just that, with almost nothing else to say, well, they quickly become technologically naked without access to that viral app. They could be stuck just blogging at home, largely out of view. And there is one other implication for a Republican Party tonight that is so stuck on Trump, a theme in several big stories we've been covering. Even as he's deplatformed and has less of a megaphone and less of an audience for the actual things he says and writes, for what he supposedly stands for, he was still president. It all shows how much this was never really about coal miners or the wall or the other things he said. It was about him as a personality and a reality show fantasy and a kind of strongman figure, regardless of politics or the office, who supposedly wins even when he loses. And because he is the only arbiter of what is real in that fantasy universe, that's why you can only listen to him. That's clearly appealing for some people. Fewer people than the majority that voted for Biden, fewer people than even many Republican parties that we've seen around the country that are struggling. But for some people, it's appealing. They flock to this idea that they can only listen to him. But when you check the blog and the stats, as we did this week, you know what's funny? Even they aren't really listening to him all that much anymore.